this ordinance says basically if there's a new road, you're not cutting into that road again for 3 years. And then if it's that 3 to 5, there's some little more leeway, but still discouraged. It'd be a good policy that'll protect taxpayers, take the burden off the traffic, in those situations. So it's just a good move, I think.
Welcome to Herrimanology,
the official podcast to keep up with Herriman City.
We'll take you inside the city, explore the latest news and updates, show you how your government operates, and discuss the issues that affect us all. Now, here are your hosts talking all things Herriman on Herrimanology.
All right, welcome to Herrimanology. It is Thursday, November 13th. Mayor Palmer is back in the saddle.
It's so good to be back.
After a couple months away. Election day's passed now, so per state law, you can do the podcast. So, welcome back.
It's good to be back.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm good. It's middle of November. So here we go.
Yep, we're heading straight into winter, which is not my thing, but we do have some fun stuff coming up for Herriman for the holidays. Mm-hmm. A lot of things going on. In fact, I'll mention really quick, this was not on our list, but the Tour de Cheer. So in the past, we've talked about...
Is this the new name?
Yes.
I love it.
So we had the winter window walk, which was kind of a business thing, but the problem is we don't really walk. We don't have like a walkable main street area.
Okay.
So,
right.
And then there is the Holiday Homes of Herriman tour, which is a mouthful. So we decided to that was a residential one. So we combined them and kind of a joking nomination ended up being our name. So the Tour de Cheer.
Tour de Cheer.
Yes.
Residential and businesses.
Yes.
Okay.
So same contest, businesses and residents are able to win different things, but it'll all be on the same map, same branding, same everything. So I think it's just herriman.gov/tour de cheer. So
how fun is that?
It's kind of cheesy, but it's the holidays.
We do cheesy pretty well around here though.
So the Tour de Cheer.
I love it.
Bonus points for anybody who can identify the not so thinly veiled little reference in our logo. So
I'll go check it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to see, that's it. Yes, I was proud of that. Anyway, I'm John LaFollette, Communications Manager. I already mentioned the Mayor Palmer. Thanks for taking some time this morning. It is morning still.
Yep.
As of the filming of this. So before we get to last night's lengthy city council meeting, we'll mention the transition is now complete to the seasonal Jordan Valley water sourcing. So we've talked about this a few times. Somebody on the podcast comment section requested we let them know when that's happening. Mm-hmm. We've tried to let people know. So now instead of having multiple sources of underground water that's really, 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 really hard, during the winter months, we just get really, really hard Jordan Valley water, which is far better than a local source. So that's a change that the city council approved last year. Mm-hmm. So we've had a one-off season of it, got a lot of positive feedback.
Yep.
So that has now changed. That'll be the case until April-ish.
Right.
So
yep, excited. This is good. Adjust your water softener, but yeah, it's a good time of year now.
So most places in the city will be about 10 to 15 grains per gallon if you care about your hardness. If you don't know what that means or anything like that, Will Schwartz, our water quality and conservation coordinator, who was on the podcast just a few weeks ago, the offer is still open to give him a call and ask for the hardness in your area and any other questions you have. So
love it.
Now let's get to last night's city council meeting. Work meeting first. There's a lot going on.
There was a lot.
But not everything's going to be pleasant. I'll preview that.
Right.
But first in the work meeting, Lauren Mitchell, our events manager, gave an overview of this season of Blackridge Reservoir.
Right.
What were some of the takeaways?
Every year we review how things are at Blackridge, whether it be the parking, the cost to go in there, what we allow in Blackridge. Last year, a lot of our problems went away. So we just decided we're going to just stay steady with that. We probably will. As you know, there was that unfortunate incident. We had the drowning, but we're going to probably add some signing, some signage just to help people be aware, like this is an open body of water, no lifeguards, but really it was so good last year with, parking and so I think we're just going to do status quo. I know, I had a request of, discount for residents even, but it's actually Riverton helped pay for this as well. People don't understand it. It's a Riverton and Herriman thing. So it just got super complicated, and now the fees, the parking fees are covering some of the expenses. So that helps. I know there's different views on that, but the problems went away. The neighbors are happy up there. So it's tough to have that kind of amenity right next to you, of course, but the problems went away. So we're just kind of going to stick with how we did it last year and hope that it stays that way.
Yeah. There's also a couple of presentations on economic development. Sandra, who was also on the podcast recently, gave an overview of a lot. So let's hit that first, and we'll touch on capital projects.
Yes. So briefly, I would say we're not going to go over all of it. Go back and watch the work meeting because there's a lot of areas going on, a lot of stuff going on. The 3 new ones I think we thought we could mention that are new, probably Jack in the Box has bought property in front of Garage Grill. Cheddar's was on the list. Cheddar's is when I used to travel for work, Cheddar's was one of my stops. That's a great sit down, family dining type restaurant. They'll be in the Commons project. And then the Herriman Carnitas is another one that I've heard raving things about that's going to be over by 7-Eleven on 56th and 126th there. But she went through a whole list, and then at the end she said there's 47 others on her board that she has in her office still.
Just on the other side of this wall right here.
It's right here. All the secrets are right here. But so there's so much happening. So we're just grateful for our team over there and all the work they're doing.
Yeah. I was thinking of a resident on social media who I think a couple months ago found some information and was just really excited. They wanted a Trader Joe's, they wanted a Target, and they wanted a Cheddar's. Those are the 3 things on their wish list. As it turns out, all 3 are coming not only to Herriman, but to the same development in Herriman.
Jasmine, shout out to you. I'll just say that. We've become very good friends on social media now, so she always wants to know when things are coming. So
Awesome.
Yes.
So a happy day for Jasmine.
Yep.
And then there was a brief presentation on capital projects, meaning most of them are road or park or water projects. But there's a brief, any takeaways from that last night? One that was not in the presentation itself was also, but was talked about was Juniper Crest Road.
Yep.
We mentioned with, I think it was Blake, maybe it was Bryce, maybe it was both. We've had a lot of staff members in recently, but that is still on track to come and connect to Mountain View Corridor. Fingers crossed, by late summer, maybe early fall.
Yeah. July was the date they said last night.
Yes.
That is the goal.
We've been, timelines have shifted before, but we're at least pretty confident it'll happen next year.
Yeah, everything's signed. I signed the plat. I tell everybody I've signed the official plat. It's all the authorizations are there to do it. It's in our budget to widen that area, that road between the Mountain View lanes, if you will, and then install the light. So we're even hoping that all connects because that's in our budget for next year. So that's our hope that we want that as bad as the residents do. We promise. We've talked about that. So now it's coming.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
So that intersection with Mountain View at Real Vista to the northeast, that is in the city's control. And that, like you said, that's in our budget. The Juniper Crest extension from its endpoint to that intersection is on the developer.
Yep.
And we think they'll be worked on at the same time.
Correct.
We won't know until we know, but that's the plan for now.
There actually is dirt already being moved right now for this project. So they can't pave and stuff until everything's closed now, the winter. Asphalt plants, all of that. So not a lot can happen in Utah. We've talked about that during the winter, but they're going to get ready. So as soon as the weather allows, they can get going again.
Moving on to the general meeting, there were a few things. I did want to touch on something that Councilmember Anderson mentioned. She is on the Mosquito Abatement District Board, and she mentioned in her council report that they are proposing a property tax increase. So we always let you know it's not our thing. The good news, I guess, is it's for most people probably a negligible amount of money. So right now, the average household in Herriman pays like $8 or $9 per year to the Mosquito Abatement District. They're proposing an increase that on average will be another 77 cents per year. So I think most people won't probably care, but just to let you know, in case you have any thoughts or questions, if you don't know what the Mosquito Abatement District is, there's a lot of information online, a lot of services that residents don't take advantage of.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
They have, I don't remember when the public hearing is. I want to say it's next month, but I might be wrong.
Sounds right, yeah.
I might be wrong on that.
Yeah, check it out though. Yeah.
Let's see. We also talked about a road excavation ordinance.
Yes.
So this, I think, will come as good news to most people. We spend a lot of money on roads, road maintenance, and this is something the council approved. The staff recommended to help protect the investment in those roads.
Right. So I think we've all been frustrated when we see a road torn up and then we feel like it gets fixed and then it's torn up again 6 months later. Right. And we've never had a policy in place to not allow that, to protect the city, to try to force some of our partners to coordinate better, I guess, if you will. So this ordinance says basically if there's a new road installed, it's like a 3-year. There's a 3-year and a 5-year. 3-year, you can't, unless there's barring some emergency, you're not cutting into that road again for 3 years. And then if it's that 3 to 5, there's some little more leeway, but still discouraged. So really, if this is going to protect our investment, I think it's a good move. It'll force us as a city to look ahead a little bit more, I think, but it'll force everybody to kind of think ahead and say, if this isn't, and other cities have adopted similar policies, but okay, if I can't cut into this road for 3 years, if that's happening now, I better get in on that now. So it'll be a good policy that'll protect taxpayers. It'll take the burden off the traffic, in those situations. So it's just a good move, I think.
Hopefully our utility partners and other people who can cut into the road, we're hoping this might help them coordinate, because for that 3 to 5 year window, it will be quite a bit more expensive than it otherwise would be, because in that window, if they do a cut between 3 and 5 years after a road is built, they have to repave 25 feet in both directions for the entire width of the road, which costs a lot more than it has. So we're hoping that if people need to cut in a similar area, then maybe they'll work together and kind of share those costs and help consolidate everything to make less of a headache.
Yep. It's a good move, I think. Yep.
And on top of that, we also have road pavement treatments like slurry seal, chip seal, GSB 88. We'll get what all those mean. Those are basically treatments to help preserve pavement. If that has happened on our road within the last 2 years, then they have to do a restoration for that cut for the entire width of the road. So again, more expensive, and we'll make them really consider if it's worth it, and hopefully consolidate projects.
Yep,
so
I like it.
We did get to recognize Police Deputy Chief Cody Stromberg, who I wasn't even fully aware of how big of a deal this was. I knew it was a big deal, but I didn't realize how big of a deal. Earlier this year, he completed a course at the FBI National Academy, and the council got to learn about what that was and got to recognize him.
Absolute big deal. First Herriman City officer to go through this program. I didn't realize there was such a long wait list. I mean, there's a wait list, there's a waiting period to get into this. So he's been waiting years to get into this and completed it. And just, we're fortunate to have him and his service here, and we're grateful for him and going through that. And what a huge accomplishment now. We were able to celebrate him a little bit last night with his family.
So the National Academy has been a thing since 1935. Less than 1% of law enforcement officers go to this. You have to prove that you are a high performer at the executive level at your agency, whatever that happens to be. In our case, obviously the Herriman Police Department. You have to apply. There's a 1-year waiting period, and there's a vetting process where you need to be basically peer reviewed and approved. So between the point you apply and you're qualified to the point where if you get selected, there are several years before you can even go. And then once you go, it's a 10, 11-week course on site in Quantico, Virginia. So he was gone for that long straight. Just really cool that one of our people got to go through that. And I think we're all pretty confident saying that's going to make our police department even better going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Improves that relationship with those agencies and understanding. Absolutely. He'll bring that knowledge back and pass it on to others. Yep, fantastic.
Finally, last item, water rates. So this is the unpleasant news we talked about. So last year, a lot of people will remember that the city council approved rate increases basically to make sure our water fund stays in the black and not in the red. We have to be able to fund operations. And at that point, we put it in the newsletter. We've said it in the podcast many, many times. At that point, there was a 0.3% increase, and we expected another 13% increase for 2026, another 13% for 2027, 9.5%, 10% for 2028, and then 3%-ish for the years beyond that. So that was based on a rate study done by a consultant that the city hired. That, though, was early 2024, maybe even late 2023 when that was done. So staff have gone through, now that we're late 2025, now that some of that time has passed and we've seen things that have happened, we reevaluated that, and what was the result?
So really, like you said, good news, bad news, right? It was anticipated to be higher this year. Again, we talked about this last year. It's a math. This is just math. They told us what our expenses are going to be. We had to cover those expenses with our water rates. So, but with the new adjustments that we ran this year, that's actually going to drop to just 6.5% this year. Again, I say just, right? It's not just. It's still, we're still cognizant of that impact. But the good news is it's not 13 this year. It's going to be 6.5% this year. And for the foreseeable, instead of those bigger numbers, we're thinking 6.5% the next couple of years instead of the bigger numbers. So, and we'll still reevaluate every year, right? So that's, again, just covering expenses. That's all this is. Nobody's getting rich off of this. We're just covering our costs to bring water to the residents and help bring that Jordan Valley water that we talked about. So that's what this is. So good news, bad news situation, I guess.
So some of the decrease in the rate is because there's more in the reserve funding than we thought would be there. And staff and council agreed it would probably be a good idea to use some of that reserve over the next several years to offset a decreased rate. So basically, we have a little bit more in reserve than we thought we would at this point. So rather than continuing to charge residents more than we need at the moment, only charge what we need.
Yep.
And then as each year happens, reevaluate. So next year, we're expecting 6.5%. It may be higher. It may be lower. We don't really know, but that's kind of what we're expecting the next several years. So short end of it, 6.5% water increase. So no one's going to love that, but hopefully it at least comes a little bit better that it's not 13%.
Right.
And as always, you can conserve water if you want to help bring your costs down a little bit. If you have room to conserve, that's a great way to bring your costs down.
Yep, absolutely.
So if you have any questions, let us know. It deals with operations to want to pay all the people who are running the water system. Water systems are very, very, very expensive in terms of people and infrastructure, mostly infrastructure. As time goes on, we have to replace infrastructure. We can't charge developers for replacement of infrastructure. That has to come from the city.
Yeah.
So this helps kind of save up long-term for that. So we have enough to pay for infrastructure replacement as it comes up. So a lot of factors that go into that, but just wanted to give people a heads up.
Yep.
So anyway, not to end on bad news, but welcome back.
It's good to be back.
As always, if you have a question or a comment, let us know. Most people like to email communications@herriman.gov. So do that if you want a question answer the next podcast. But with that, thanks, Mary Palmer, for taking some time out.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening and watching, and we'll catch you next time.